On the off chance that you were the last, snatches two photogenic stars, Zoe Chow and Anthony Mackie, puts them into space, and presents them as cozy and engaging as they can conceivably be. Their characters are space travelers in a NASA carry that has been coasting through space for over 1,000 days with no effective communication. A address waits between them and is implied to require us from one cutesy scene to the another. Will they blast? It's an interesting address to base a motion picture around, but tragically, If You Were the Last doesn't have the daring do for its concept. Indeed, in spite of the fact that it's almost two hitched grown-ups considering an association that may change their companionship, the motion picture annoyingly handles it all like teenagers play. Coordinated by Christian Mercado and composed by Angela Barassa, the world of If You Were the Last owes a parcel to the high-quality comedies of Michel Gondry, with its claim imaginative way of making space travel without a mammoth budget. It employments cardboard for these carry, development paper and string for the controls, and basic design for their screens, like a smiley confront, or a scowl. When If You Were the Last starts, it's a welcome and intelligent way for a mostly two-hander indie to imagine space travel. We don't require such ornaments to induce it, and it makes a difference flag the tone as well. Shockingly, the motion picture takes this as in welcome to be as well idiosyncratic for its possess great, which takes absent from the more inquisitive, develop binds. At slightest Mackie and Chow are bounty interesting and spunky. They move together, they observe alien. The motion pictures are accessible on little cassette tapes, they confess their sentiments around each other to a skeleton that's uncovered to be their third shipmate. Their chemistry is more noteworthy than anything else here, portraying a long-term closeness that some way or another didn't bring in sex hundreds of days prior. But it's all so light. Mackie particularly plays at a role that recommends a youngster, in spite of being grown-up and hitched. Their discourse, both the characters' person lines and the common way they broach such subjects, is outlandish to the movies, will they or won't they, interest. There isn't much pressure made from it but hard-worn eccentricity, as with a scene after when the two choose they can snuggle. Mackie's character Adam at that point says something like, "We got to conversation, approximately how you squished your boobies against me." A comparative flinch factor comes afterward when they conversation approximately other joy escape clauses which will not damage their relational unions. Possibly, If You Were the Last is attempting to say something with its tone approximately how unbalanced such a talk can be, but that guiltless charm runs lean. The movie also contains a propensity of cutting absent when the two grasp each other, asserting their closeness within the center of their talk about, and after that the script moves on as on the off chance that nothing happened. Distant better, a much better, a higher, a stronger, an improved, a much better film might create in those beats and investigate the Messier landscape of dispassionate companionship, particularly when horniness and fascination are gazing right back at you. If You Were the Last is diversion for cushy rom-com-like pressure, but it fears its possess introduce. What a missed opportunity. A distant way better motion picture that's generally almost two individuals in an awkward space can be found within the Spanish, Upon Entry, composed and coordinated by Alejandro Rojas and Juan Sebastián Vázquez. In 74 minutes, the motion picture creates considerable thrills delineating a handful being examined after traveling from Spain to the joined-together states. To begin with, Diego, Alberto Amon, and Elena, Bruna Cusi, confront questions from traditions in modern York City after giving their fingerprints and appearing their international IDs. They have 2 hours to form their association to Miami, where they are for all time moving. And they arrange on assembly Diego's brother exterior to say hi. 1/10 scene after the following, we realize those things won't be happening. With their passports fixed in a plastic pack, the couple is discreetly introduced to a holding-up room within the airport storm cellar, where they just sit with others scattered around in quiet. No cell phones are permitted. No nourishment. No answers. They are at that point introduced down a distressing corridor, wandering more profound and more profound into a framework that segregates them from the world and controls their each move. Diego and Elena don't know what's happening, and they're intrigued in complying with each strict request and rehashed address wears on their faces. Peace is more often than not the drive that routes a motion picture, uncovering a writer's need of thoughtfulness. Here, it has the inverse impact. For a film that takes put for the most part with interviews happening in real time, Upon Entry is more or less as it were peace, and it's successfully tense and awkward. Each address from the cross-examination, driven by on-screen characters Ben Sanctuary and Laura Gomez, makes a difference. Us learn more almost them and a backstory that's more complicated than we might have accepted. And credit to the striking composing. Upon passage, prospers with the gray ranges of its characters and circumstance. The motion picture gets to be a magnifying lens on the framework and everybody in see, amplifying these sorts of encounters and making great humanist show. We begin to have questions almost the couple, as well. The riches of questions and answers in Upon Entry clears out a feeling of instability approximately what point each interrogator is attempting to get to, coupled by their strict requests. We are cleared out within the dim as the most characters, and the movie's stumbles are few. Sometimes it's as well hammy of a frown from one of the specialists or a minute in which the control goes out. But the larger impression is there. So much is going on exterior the room that Diego and Elena don't know approximately. One might anticipate a motion picture like Upon Entry to go into more metaphorical domain, to incline more into its plain frightfulness, but it does not. It does not have to be. The thrills from this motion picture are abundant and strong, made conceivable by certain heading that well knows the guileful potential of the frameworks in control. Leah McKendrick's Scrambled openly joins the positions of other on-screen ladies whose flinching but relatable choices in dating have made them our single, broke, disheveled heroes. But writer-director McKendrick faces the natural reality of this form indeed more head-on, tending to the thought that anything a lady like Nellie needs to do with her single 30s she still needs to make a few kind of choice almost what to do with her richness circumstance. A few of the script is as well constrained with its feelings, or its humor can be too broad, but Mixed demonstrates to in general be a charismatic directorial make a big appearance from a promising writer-director/star. McKendrick stars within the motion picture as Nellie, a 34-year-old Etsy jeweler who chooses to go around the method of solidifying her eggs. Possibly sometime in the not-so-distant future she'll have kids, but she's not prepared to choose however. I don't indeed know in case I need kids. I've seen Euphoria, got one of my greatest giggles. Nellie is still figuring herself out as in person and managing with the breakup with an ex named Sean. Her as of late hitched companion Sheila, sense of self-nudum, is strong but active, and her mother, Laura Siren, is as it were so supportive. And the men in her life don't appear to induce it, like her father, Clancy Brown, or her priggish back bro brother, Andrew Santino, the last mentioned composed to be the strolling encapsulation of penis benefit. In the meantime, everyone's life around Nellie appears to be taking off, and other people's major celebrations, a wedding, an infant shower, an engagement party, offer an illustrative background that appears how confined she can be. McKendrick is particularly clever in these minutes, attempting to constrain a huge grin through the ponderousness and masking her claimed dissatisfactions. All through, McKendrick nails her aim of making us root for Nellie, and after that being contributed in each choice she makes, whether it demonstrates lamentable or not. In a plot improvement that's clever but moreover can make for a few hit-and-miss character jokes, Nellie follows her sentimental history to possibly see on the off chance that there's still a chance for association. She meets up with her exes and sees how peculiar a few of these folks turned out to be. One failure indeed pops back into her life wearing an lower leg bracelet. All through the script's clump of coarse dating jokes, we see Nellie infusing herself with endorsed medicine, planning her eggs for the enormous method. For all of the feelings that McKendrick tries to toss in this story, she most viably outlines, and wrestles with, how lonely the method can be in case you're doing it alone. That's where we feel the foremost for her character, additionally where McKendrick can be as small as well clean with setting up an enthusiastic monologue here or a shocked character advancement there. But Scrambled never loses locate of its earnestness, and McKendrick employments this space to affectionately enlighten, in the event that not destigmatize a ripeness alternative and not given nearly as much perceivability as other choices. She does so with a riches of life shrewdness and enormous chuckles within the handle.